use are the CBD, right? I use a topical ointment, and I use the tincture. I can never pronounce it, but I love it. I use that. It helps me with my insomnia, and just sometimes just to relax, you know. But those are the things I think I use the most. I don't like the smoking because I'm just not into that. I like to use it just, you know, mostly on medicinal stuff. I literally do use it medicinally.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So, we're going to let you take it over.
I thought you were going to say something. No, sorry. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with our discussion on lupus and cannabis. I know that Mikey mentioned that I know all things cannabis, but I'm really just learning. I've been in the game and researching and learning and even working with some of the companies and the products for a while, so I do feel like I have a pretty good understanding of it. But I don't think that a lot of people, even scientists and chemists, fully understand the cannabis plant yet, because there's so much to it, and it's been illegal and harmful for so long that people were scared to even talk about it or use it. There's this stigma about it that, you know, people are using it to get high and that's it. So, you know, I was afraid to, I don't want to say afraid, but like I just was, I guess, ignorant to all of the ways that cannabis could help. And I too thought that, you know, it's just to get high and I don't like that feeling and I don't want to feel that way. So, you know, it took me some time to finally start learning about it, and I felt like I needed to do this for you guys. So, first and foremost, I want you guys to understand that whatever I discuss, whatever product I talk about, my loyalty is not to any company, any product. I don't care if it's a product that I'm selling. If I was selling a product, my loyalty is to you, my friends, my lupus sisters, you know, or brothers if we have men with lupus here, but not today. But my loyalty is to you guys. And you guys all know that each one of us with lupus are different. Some of us sometimes have to walk with a cane. Some of us are in a wheelchair. Some days we feel great and can go clean our whole house and go to a party, and then some days we can't even get out of the bed. So with that, some of us also have organ involvement and some of us don't. Some of us have neurological issues. Lupus can affect every single part of our body and each one of us differently. And just like our bodies are affected differently, the medication that we're prescribed affects each one of us differently. Some of us are on Benlysta. Some of us are just on prednisone. It all differs from person to person. And in that same way, cannabis is going to be different for each one of us too. So I encourage each of you to learn, understand your body, figure out what your body is needing, and dibble and dabble from there. One thing that I forgot to mention on our last support group, we had the same support group in Rancho that I meant to mention because it's really important, is microdosing. So whenever you take any type of cannabis product that has THC in it, any product, but specifically if it has THC in it, I highly suggest that you start off with the lowest amount possible. Don't eat a whole brownie. Don't drink a whole tincture or something like that. Like, start off with like a little, you know, bite size, like smaller than a dime if you can amount. You just have to learn what is going to work for your body. I would hate for you to try something and you get so high that you never want to try it again because it scared you off. So I'm going to read over my notes here, and if you guys have questions or whatever, please feel free to interrupt me. I'm just going to go through this. So does someone mind sharing what is lupus?
Lupus is an autoimmune disease that have an overactive immune system, and your immune system is kind of whacked out where it will start attacking any and everything, all healthy. I think it's your antibodies just start attacking healthy everything. It can take on the form of a cold, the flu. It could attack your kidneys, your brain, your skin, your hair, all internal organs. Yeah, it's just a very...
I've heard a couple of people just, I'm like, so what is lupus? They're like, fucking pain in the ass. I'm like, okay, yeah, it is. But you guys have a good understanding of what lupus is. I've seen people that have lupus and don't know what it is. So I want you guys to be educated on what lupus is. You know that it is where your immune system is attacking healthy tissues in your body, and it's typically, especially in a flare, under constant attack. Does anybody know what causes lupus flares? What causes lupus and what might cause lupus flares?
Yeah, I have no idea about what causes lupus. Stress is a trigger for flares.
Stress, what was that?
Environmental factors.
Environmental.
Predictable in nature.
Yeah.
Husbands?
Certain foods.
Oh, no? Oh, sorry.
Husbands, stress.
That's just in my case.
So,
UV light, sunlight.
sun, oh, that's a huge one. Yeah, we definitely can't forget that. So now, some risk factors and causes of lupus are your family history. That can be important. Your genetic makeup can help determine if you might develop lupus at some time in your life. Being a woman, 90% of the people with lupus are women. So,
being a woman of color.
Especially between the ages of 15 to 45. So within your childbearing years, our bodies are going through a lot of hormonal changes, and that might add to the risk of developing lupus. Being a minority, women of color, Black, Hispanic, Asian, even Native American descent have a higher chance of developing lupus. Poor diet, like you mentioned, your GI health. What I'm learning and researching a lot about is our bacteria in our gut has a lot to do with us having flares and even developing lupus. Toxicity exposure. So as Andrea mentioned, things in the environment, it could be toxic chemicals that you use in your home, which you guys know I'm really big on using more natural alternatives and essential oils, preferably for your cleaning products and stuff like that. Okay, you guys want to throw out some symptoms of lupus?
Joint pain,
swelling, fatigue, being tired.
hair loss.
What was that?
Yeah.
Lupus, brain fog, hair loss.
Nail loss.
Oh yes. How many have lost their nails? I've lost toenails, fingernails. You guys, lupus literally affects every part. Everything.
Yeah.
So
Lesions in the mouth and
dry mouth, dry eye sores. Honestly, I think that if we were to write it down, we could probably fill up this whole room with symptoms, right, from head to toe. Treatments. What are some common treatments for the lupus flare-ups or lupus diagnosis? Like when you go to your doctor, they typically say, we're going to treat you with
steroids.
Prednisone, steroids, Plaquenil, Celsep, Imuran, Benlysta, Lyrica. Oh, and then for the pain, then you have your Norcos and Tramadol, all of those. So now, out of all those treatments that the doctors prescribe, they all have crazy side effects. And so for me, what and what even got me in wanting to do the support group was, you know, after so much time, I'm like, okay, I'm taking prednisone, which is giving me high anxiety, so I'm needing to take Ativan now to calm down my anxiety. I can't sleep through the night, so I have to take Ambien to help me get a full, because, you know, our body needs at least 6 hours of sleep to heal. And if we aren't getting that, of course you're not going to get better, because your body can't sleep and get its full, you know, healing process in. So then I started becoming forgetful because of the Ativan and the Ambien. Then I started having a lot of stomach issues because of the pain pills and the prednisone. So I would have to take medicine for the stomach pains. And then because of the prednisone, it deteriorates your bone mass. So then I had to start taking medication to help with the bone mass deterioration. So it got to this point where I was just like, okay, like really, like, so what? I'm taking so many medications for the medications. At what point, like, I'm not even dealing with the lupus anymore. Like, this is just ridiculous. So I became really desperate for, like, this just can't be the downward cycle that, you know, I want to live my life like. So I started researching more natural alternatives. And number one, and what, you know, I can't remember what Mikey started off in January. I think it was also nutrition, but our first month, we started off with the importance of nutrition. Say if you decide, I don't want to use CBD products for whatever reason, you don't like them, you're scared, or maybe you tried it and it didn't work for you. That happens. But if you can change your diet, that's so important. And I'm not saying become vegan or change, like, I'm not telling you to make any drastic changes, because I haven't done that. And I mean, I've made changes, but I didn't just turn around one day and say, I'm only eating healthy. You know, I just had an alcoholic beverage last night. So, I mean, we're supposed to stay away from it, but I think it's in moderation. You know what I mean? Like, we can't be drinking and getting drunk every weekend, or, you know, you have a social drink here or there. I understand that, that's fine, but try to limit your toxic intake if possible. You know, I think that's going to be the number one factor to helping you get better. Then we've talked about exercise. A lot of people think that exercise means going to the gym and running for an hour on the treadmill. I can't do that. I work out every day, but I can't even do that. So I suggest finding what type of exercise you like. It could be sitting in your bedroom stretching. It could be yoga, prayer, meditation, exercising your mind that way, going for a walk around the block. There's all kinds of, swimming. Swimming is my number one recommendation for people with joint pain, is getting in a warm pool and swimming. Reducing stress, if it means husbands.
That's what I do. I'm at home.
and getting as much sleep as you can. Protecting our biggest organ. You guys know what our biggest organ is?
Skin.
Our skin. Yeah, our skin is our biggest organ, and protecting it by, you know, sun exposure, sunscreen, and what you put on your body, the lotions and soaps and things that we use. Check it. Does it have parabens, you know, and stuff like that? Look at the ingredients that you're putting on your body, because it's going into your body. Looking into supplements, you know, a lot of us are deficient in vitamin 3, so we should be taking maybe a multivitamin of some sort, maybe some omegas, stuff like that. Learning about treating pain naturally. And so with treating pain naturally, for me, I started with essential oils. So I use essential oils like lavender and cedarwood in place of my Ativan that I would just like roll on my wrist at night. And that's where I started, was trying to get off of the anxiety medication. Seeing a chiropractor is really important too. They analyze you, they run some tests and x-rays, and they can align your spine, which can even help with brain fog. It's crazy. Like, I just was reading about how that alignment can help with issues with your thinking, how you sit, your posture. All of that has a lot to do with our daily health. Yeah, we're all like,
I was like,
doing a detox, I think, is important. And when I say doing a detox, like just cleaning out your system, your gut is so important. and taking like probiotics, maybe doing a cleanse or something I do one every 90 days. I'm sure you guys have all heard about it now, but it's just a 10-day cleanse where I do no sugar, all the things that we with lupus really don't need. No sugar, no red meat, no dairy. I always forget all this stuff. No sugar, no red meat, no dairy.
No salt?
No salt's okay.
Just limited.
Yeah.
Was it no sugar,
No sugar, no dairy, no red
carbs?
meat, no alcohol, no coffee.
Oh yeah, no coffee.
Yeah, you
That was the
can do
hardest.
carbs, but the carbs are just healthy carbs like sweet potato.
Well, no bread.
Yeah, but you can do healthy carbs, sweet potato,
Like the rice, so
brown rice, and quinoa. So, and that's a 10-day cleanse, and it helps retrain your taste buds to only liking or preferring the things that are healthier for you. So I think that's also important to do that occasionally. Meditation is really important, which I've been trying to be more on top of lately, and I notice how much it helps me have a calmer sense of reaction to things. A lot of things in life can be stressful, and when you're already stressed and your body's in so much pain, sometimes you can react negatively. And I think when you meditate, it teaches you more patience, maybe to see things with a little clearer, and maybe have a better or more positive reaction in a situation. And I think it relaxes your body too. It just gives you a sense of peace and mindfulness. And so finally, going into natural alternatives, today we're talking about CBD. And when I say CBD, I'm not trying to just talk about CBD. I want to talk about cannabis. So CBD is just one component of the plant. In the plant, there's so many different components, but the most popular ones that you hear all the time are CBD and THC. Now, those are the two that I'm most familiar with. There's so many others, CBD1, 2, CBG, CBN. There's tons of others, but I'm not that educated on that, so I wouldn't, but I do suggest you guys research and learn about all the elements of the plant, because cannabis, it's crazy that it has been illegal for so long because it's so powerful. We have an endocannabinoid system with receptors, and this plant, when it comes into your body, whatever method you're using it, it attaches itself to these receptors and balances the imbalance that you have. If it's pain, or if it's depression, or if it's insomnia, it's a plant that is that scientifical. So CBD is the one that I talk about often, because CBD is one for the body, and we experience body pain and issues. So that's the one that I tend to talk about. I am going to remind you guys again, I'm not an expert, and again, I'm just sharing with you my experiences and things that have worked well for me. Each one of us are different. You can always ask me questions. I have tons of books that I read that I can recommend that I think you guys, if you're really interested, can look into. But these are just my experiences. There's a lot of rules and regulations. If you guys ever go to a dispensary, at this point now, I think you have to be over 21, and you show your ID, and that's it? Yeah, you show your ID and you can go in a dispensary. My experience with dispensaries, unfortunately, is that a lot of people there are not educated on like conditions like what we have. And so my very first time when I really wanted to learn about, man, I need some different alternatives, I'm gonna try a dispensary. I was nervous, and I went inside, and there was some young girls in there, and of course I'm like, young pretty girls, and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to them, tell them all my issues. I'm sure they'll be able to help me. And when I told them, that I had lupus, they didn't know what that was. And when I told them, then I told them what it was and what type of pain I have, and they were just like, oh, well, try this edible. And I'm just like, and I already knew, I'm like, I don't want to try an edible. I know what, I've heard stories about edibles. And so, and I realized, like, wow, like these people are in here, and I'm sure there's people that come in just like me, and they're not knowing or finding out what could work for them. So I started reaching out to companies, specifically this one company that specializes in topicals. So a topical is going to be something that you rub on top. So like an oil or a rub or a salve, a lotion is a topical, and tinctures. So tinctures are the ones that you usually like come in a bottle like this. They're liquid. You take a dropper full and you put it under your tongue, and that's how you ingest it. It's called sublingually, and you would put it under your tongue for 20 seconds or whatever and let it get into your system. And the reason for that is because it gets into your bloodstream faster. So now a lot of people wonder, well, what if I have a job that tests me for THC, because that's what they test for when they do drug tests. Anything that you use, that you ingest, it will show up if it has THC in it. If it's a hemp product, like you guys know there's hemp stuff that you put in your smoothies. Like hemp is pretty common. It's been around for a while. Hemp, it has little to no, closer to no THC, and it will not show up in a blood test. But if you use anything like a CBD product or something that has THC in it and you're ingesting it, it will show up in a drug test. So the status of CBD remains complicated. So when I prepared for this group, I read about hemp and learned that right now they're trying to make hemp not illegal, but they're trying to make it like a Schedule 1 or something like that drug. And hemp has been, you guys know, hemp has been around forever. But what I'm learning is that we're learning, the people are becoming more educated, and, then there's people that are trying to make money off of that. So, hemp is something that's been around forever, but I don't know what the future of that will be, but just know that there's regulations around it. I don't fully understand them yet. But hemp can even be purchased on Amazon currently. So it's really confusing as to the status and what's going on with it. So we have our endocannabinoid system, and the role is to restore balance to the endocrine system, which is like communicators that we have in our body. You know how if you touch something and it burns you, your body has a communicator that tells you that was hot, move right away. The cannabinoid system, named after the cannabis plant, is one of the most important physiological systems involved in establishing and maintaining overall health. So when I read and learn about stuff like that, it just really trips me out that it's been illegal for so long. And people try to say things like it's harmful, and I personally cannot find where someone died from an overdose or some type of reaction to weed or marijuana. You might hear that people got really high and they do something stupid. That happens often, but as far as someone taking too much and dying or it hurting them, I've never, and I've looked it up, I couldn't find anything. So let's see. That's all I have in my notes. But a couple other things that I wanted to share with you guys is, my personal experience. So when I first started with trying it out myself, like I mentioned, I reached out to a CBD company, and it was cool because the CEO and his son of the company, they came to my house and they brought me some products and they told me to try it out. So they brought me a tincture, which is, the liquid bottle that you put under your tongue. And he told me that to take a full dropper full, put it under your tongue, wait, 20 seconds and then swallow it. And I asked him, I said, well, what will it feel like? And he said, you may feel like you've had like a glass of wine. And I was like, okay, sounds good, So I get ready for bed and I'm all excited, and I tell my husband like, okay, we're gonna do this. So I take the full dropper full, put it under my tongue, and I wait 20 seconds, swallow it, and then I'm just sitting there and I'm like looking around. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. And he was like, really? And I was like, no, like I don't feel anything at all. He said I would feel like I had some wine, but I don't. Like I don't feel like anything. Maybe, I've been dealing with so many medications and so much pain, maybe my body needs more, So I'm like, okay, let me just get another full dropper full. So I put another full dropper full under my tongue, and he's like, just see what happens, try to rest. So I'm like, okay, I still don't feel anything. Next thing you know, I'm knocked out. Just knocked out sleep. I wake up, I don't know how much later it was. I want to say within like 6 or 7 hours. I don't know how long it was. It was probably 4 hours. But I woke up and I was so high, like super high, out of my mind. And I was talking about all kinds of crazy things. Like I was paranoid. I had a high level of anxiety. I kept thinking that there was like helicopters flying around listening to our conversation, and there was the government after us, and I was just tripping. Okay. So, I remember thinking like, this is a terrible feeling. I don't like feeling like this, So what I did was I called the CEO of the company and I let him know my experience, and he said, no, when you take a tincture or ingest anything, you have to wait at least 20 minutes to feel what the effect is. So when you take something internally, it has to go through your digestive tract, it has to make its way around, and then it gets into your system. So the process is a lot longer. So it could take 20 minutes, it could take an hour or two before you feel the effect. So whenever you're experimenting with anything that you are taking that way, you need to start off really low. I suggest starting off with the smallest dose available. Wait to see how you feel. Go to sleep. Wake up the next day and say, you know what? I felt like that wasn't enough. I'm going to double the dose. I should be okay. Or, you know what? I felt a little weird. I'm just going to stay with that. But getting it into your system on a regular basis, I think, is really important. And with the tincture that I started using, I was able to completely come off of the Ativan and the Ambien. And for me, that was like life-changing, because I was not doing, waking up in the middle of the night doing things that I forgot that I was doing. And then because I was able to sleep throughout the night a lot more naturally, I was able to be more productive during the day. And as time went on, me being more productive throughout the day led me to be naturally sleepy at night. And once you get on that cycle, if you could get yourself on a regular cycle where you go to sleep at the same time, get your 6 to 7 at least hours of sleep, wake up and be productive throughout the day, I think that will help you a lot with addressing some of the issues that we have, especially with like fatigue and even joint pain, and then on to other things. So that's my experience with the tincture. With the rubs, so now this is going to be for more like a generalized area. So if you have, your wrist or your fingers are swollen, you just take a little bit of the salve, and for this particular brand, you don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way. You rub it into the area, and what you want to look for in a tincture is, what you want to look for in a rub is the ingredients that are in it. If it has ingredients that are, of course you want natural stuff, and you want something that's going to be transdermal, meaning that it can get as deep as possible into the joint or muscle or bone, even wherever you're trying to get relief from. And I've seen emu oil be really effective with getting deep down into your area that you're trying to get relief from. And the reason why I think emu oil works so well, because emu is a bird, and because it's an animal, it's more compatible with our bodies and able to get and penetrate a lot deeper. And so there's rubs, tinctures. Oh, and then there's vaping. So with vaping, you have like a pen is what they call it, and it has the oil from the plant in it. There's all kinds. There's kinds that will get you high. There's sativa, there's indica, there's high THC ones, there's CBD ones, there's hemp ones, there's all different kinds of vapes. And you smoke it, and usually that gets into your system within 5 minutes maybe. And that sometimes provides relief for people to kind of relax. And then we all have different levels. Like the lady that I'm working with on one of these brands, she can take like hundreds of milligrams of THC in one day, and she looks at me like I'm crazy because I'm like, I can only handle 2 milligrams. Like I can't do more than 2, and if I'm doing 5, like that's really high for me. But everyone's tolerance is different, and so what we have to do is figure out what those are and learn how to work with it from there. So I think I cover all of the, well, not all of, but the basic, more common uses. But do you guys have any questions or anything before we go into our own personal? I don't see any questions on here. So, yes.
How are you guys using pure extract from the wheat plant or mix?
How do we, what?
Like,
Because the lady, when I get the wheat oil for her, she mixed with olive oil.
Oh, yeah. So
it's
you,
like a receptor.
And
well,
she used, if I'm not wrong, probably 5 to 7 different plants, or leaves from different plants, and that's how she makes up the oil.
okay, so if that works for her, that's great. But I would start with one plant so I can know if it's a different type of plant. I would probably start with one so I can know which one is providing the benefit, because if you have all 5 and something is going right or wrong, you're not sure which to attribute it to. The olive oil is going to be the carrier oil, so that means just you're mixing the cannabis oil with the olive oil to give it a more maybe you want it to be more oily, maybe you want it to spread more, and that's going to be what delivers it to your joint or muscle or whatever.
So it's almost like the car.
Yes, it's the vehicle that delivers the cannabis. So olive oil, I think, and there's a graph or a thing that shows you what oils get in the deepest, and I think olive oil penetrates under 2 levels of your skin layer, so it doesn't get as deep as some other oils. But olive oil is a good oil to use for our body. It has a lot of benefits. You know, there's so many oils with different benefits and omegas and stuff like that. Like shea butter is really good for your skin, and jojoba oil is really good for your skin, even hair. So you could look at the ingredients and see, you know what, Mikey's allergic to anything citrus, so she might really like a certain oil, but it might have citrus in it. Some people might not like the smell of lavender, so you'll get a one that has eucalyptus oil instead of lavender. So those are all just different oils that they add to it to provide extra benefit, just depending on what the benefit is of how they want to make it. Do you guys have any other questions? Okay, so if we have no more questions on the lives or anything, then I'm going to go ahead and cut the lives off and say bye to everyone.